What's up, guys? It's Nick Barada, and welcome back to another episode of Here's to Life. I got a special guest with me today, okay? Three-time NBA champion, NCAA champion, and another Long Islander, right? I should say that. Mr. Danny Green, thank you for hanging out with us today.
Appreciate you having me, man. Thank you, man.
No,
Thank
and
you.
what's funny is we're not even on Long Island. We're in Philly, which is,
right now.
A couple Long Islanders in Philly, but it makes it that much better for us. So let's get right into it, man. Obviously, an incredible career. You've done some amazing things, but I want to know really when it started for you. What's the earliest memory, thinking back, when you fell in love with the game? When did it all start for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the first time. Hopefully the career's not done. Hopefully we just continue going. But
of course.
The start of it, the first memory I have of playing basketball is that it was really young in Long Island, in North Babylon.
Yep.
I played in the youth leagues, and my dad tells me with the age I picked the ball. I don't remember the age, but I remember playing. I was like 5 years old in the youth leagues. They have ages like 5 and 6 year olds, 7 and 8 year olds. When I was 5, I played with the 5 and 6 year olds. When I was 6, then I played with the 7 and 8 year olds, and so on and so forth. But realistically, when I thought like it was a possibility to go to college for free and actually play professionally, was when I was in high school. I went to St. Mary's in Manhasset, New York. Played for Tim Cluse, Coach Cluse, one of the best coaches of all time, historically, high school level and Division II level, and also went to Iona. So he's just been a great all-around coach. And to have him as my first real coach really dictated a lot of how my life was going to go.
Love that.
And he was a perfectionist. So I knew it was a possibility to go to school for free during that time, which said, you know what, possibility to go to the NBA, but I knew it would start all over once I got to college.
Right.
And that said each year was different. I didn't see that, come to light. Playing McDonald's game was like, you know what, I might have a real shot. But when I got to school, kind of started all over again. Yeah. I didn't start till my senior year. When I started playing more my junior year and senior year is when I thought, it's a real possibility that I could get a shot at playing the NBA and making money as a job. But I said my first image or first memory of playing basketball as a young kid was me and my younger brother in the backyard and playing youth leagues and my dad coaching us when we were like 5 or 6 years old.
I love that. I'm pretty sure, if I remember, I actually saw you play at St. Mary's, and I remember sitting in the stands and you caught a fast break dunk, I think, and that's when I knew. I was like, this guy's going places. St. Anthony's, I think. Did you? So St. Mary's play over at St. Anthony's?
Yes, we did. We played them. They were in our they were, I won't say one of the rivalries, but yes, they were one of the schools we had good battles with throughout the years. And St. Mary's was a smaller gym, but St. Anthony's, they were a tough school some years. But some years, I think it might have been, I forget what year it was, where we beat them pretty badly. And I think Cluse had something happen with the school, and he had to quit temporarily because he had a lot of backlash for us beating.
Wow.
And he was such a perfectionist that even when we won games, we won most of our games by like 20 or more. We would still get lectures for like an hour after and have to practice after. Crazy. Because he's like, you guys won, but don't be satisfied. If you want to beat these other teams, you have to be better. So he was that type of perfectionist, and that instilled a lot of good habits in us as people.
Of course. Yeah. Shout out Coach, man. As a Long Islander, I mean, heard great things about him, of course, but also, man, just again, you in high school, I just remember hearing all the buzz over by me. I was at Walt Whitman and we actually
Nick Carter,
there you go.
And,
Antoine Guidio over there.
Guidio,
so those guys are a couple.
Yeah, I used to play with Nick growing up when I was young, and my first memory of playing at IS8 was with Nick Carter.
Man.
AJ Price was also another young guy that I played when he was younger. But Nick was ahead of his time when we were in 6th, 7th grade, maybe.
He was a problem. We were just talking about
grade,
that.
6th grade, and Nick was really good. So I played with Nick. Antoine, I played with him too, high school, AAU. He was very good as well. Had an amazing career. I remember those days. And I remember watching them when they played against, I think it was Amityville with Jason Frazier and AJ Price at the, I forget what stadium.
Stony
was
Brook.
it Stony Brook. I remember going to watch
legendary
that
game.
That was
man.
the game everybody would go to. Back then, there was no like YouTube. There was no social media and highlights. You didn't know who was who or how good they were.
Right.
You see newspaper articles or you hear about it. Only way to go is to see is show up at the game. So we'd have to buy tickets, go to these games, and that's where I had packed houses. Real high school games were like a real thing.
It's different back then, right?
It's different. It's a way different a game now. But back then, I remember those memories And then going to ISA when I was a kid, going to high school games and watching these teams play against each other. And I'm like, you know, one day I got to be one of those guys, man.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, but my career didn't go as far, unfortunately. But
everybody has different paths.
Hey, man, we got to shout out Nick Carter and Antoine Aguidio. Those are my guys. They'll definitely be watching this. So shout out the boys back home. That's great, man. So we'll fast forward a little bit. Obviously,
Matt Ross.
Look at this guy, man.
On.
That starting five, those were my heroes. Because I was in
they were killers,
sixth, seventh grade.
Yeah.
So they had Brian Faustin. I'm still in touch with all these guys.
Okay.
Matt Ross, Brian Faustin, who were 6'8", 6'9", like big bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Antoine and Nick in the backcourt, and then they had
a squad.
They had a squad.
And there was some battles, but I remember that. I'm like, yo, Matt Ross so it's starting to click. I remember now, but they had a squad, man. Some real killers.
Well, women high school.
Long Island said, coming from Long Island, you don't get the respect from the city. So Bill had to have a chip on our shoulder and make a name for ourselves. So even though I was playing well at St. Mary's, it was like, it's still Long Island. So it's like, yo, I got to get the respect from the city and beat the city guys. Yeah. And, you know, it's different when you get to the next level. And so I had to continue to, like, no, even though I'm good in Long Island doesn't mean I'm good in North Carolina. So I had to make sure that I, you know, prove my point when I played in the city and when I went to other states as well.
Right. Yeah. So speaking of North Carolina, an amazing time there, obviously. Yes. What did it mean to you to be a Tar Heel and put that uniform on? I mean, it's just obviously, you know, a legendary program, an incredible coaching staff. You had the honor to play with some you know, great players and under an incredible coaching staff. What did it mean to you to wear that blue?
I'll tell you how quickly I committed. It'll let you know how much it meant to me. ABCD camp was a thing in high school. If you got invited as one of the top players, it was a big deal. You know, that's how you get recruited from school. I think my sophomore year going to my junior is my first year going to ABCD camp. And that's when I started to get a little bit of notoriety. And I was getting recruited by lower Division I schools, some higher D1s. But my junior year going into my senior year is when I actually played really well there. And then, you know, I kind of had my coming out summer or breakout summer. And then I started getting recruited by high D1s. Mm-hmm. And then there was like a rumor like, oh, you're getting recruited by Carolina. And I'm like, what? I didn't got no letter in the mail about Carolina. What are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
And, you know, as soon as I heard that, I'm like, a lot of people, you know, there was some ifs. So like, would you play if you go there? Like, they're going to recruit over you, da-da-da. And I was like, you know, I've been watching Carolina since I was a kid. My dad's always been a basketball fan. So I've been watching since they had Vince Carter, Jerry Stackhouse, all those guys. Yeah. And there's pictures of me when I was a little one wearing Carolina, you know, jerseys and uniforms and warm-ups and stuff like that. So it's always been my dream school since I was a kid, since I was a young kid. Obviously, knowing Michael Jordan went there.
Yep.
Every kid knew that.
Yep.
If you can go there and Michael Jordan went there, you know, it's a young kid's dream. So
of course.
As soon as I heard they were recruiting me, I was already ready to go. But
yeah.
You know, Coach Williams came to my house. We had dinner. He was recruiting me, and my year was the last year that you could jump from high school to the NBA. Mm-hmm. And they had other prospects that they were recruiting, and I think they had, you know, a limited amount of scholarships left, maybe one. It was between me and like Martell Webster, and I wasn't sure if he was going to go to the league or not. I said, you know, I took a visit. I was supposed to take a visit to UConn. They had already got a commit, so I couldn't even go visit.
Oh, wow.
I had St. John's in my top 5.
I was going to ask, what was
Pittsburgh was another. NC State, randomly enough, were recruiting me earlier on before Carolina came into play. Okay. After my sophomore year going into my junior year, they came in pretty strong. So those other schools were earlier in the recruitment before Carolina. So that's why they were in the top 5.
So what do you think would have been the
number 2?
Yeah. What was number 2 for you?
I think that the tough UConn wasn't number 2, but like when they took it off the table, it was like, you know,
right.
But for me, it was Pitt.
Okay.
Pitt and cause they had a lot of New York guys that did well there.
Yeah.
And they had Jamie Dixon at the time. Mm-hmm. And I liked the guys that they had there, and they were doing well. They had a good tournament run previous to me getting there. They had Black Magic there, Chris Taft. They had a couple guys that did well. Then obviously I think Levance ended up going there later on. No, he went to he ended up going to Pitt. Yeah. Zavarian and a couple of other, DeJuan Blair, one of my homies that I became friends with when I got to the NBA. But Pitt was number 2 besides Carolina. But once Carolina came in the picture, it was a done deal. Nice. You know, he did an in-home visit. Before I even went down there for late night, I already was committed. Coach Williams came. I called him, told him I want to come there.
You knew it was.
I knew I wanted to be there, regardless if I was gonna play or not. I wanted to be a Tar Heel, and I was like, I'll figure it out when I get there. Yeah. And you know, my friends and family, they always believe in me. They, you know, Danny, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna adjust to it. I know some people are doubting you, but you always find a way. Just keep doing what you do, being you, and eventually things will, turn out.
Of course, of course.
So I have all the faith in you to find your way and to break into rotation and play and eventually, start one day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean.
And you did play, and you not only did you play, but you won a championship there.
I did.
And that
very
was
lucky, man. But.
Yeah, so was that was a surreal moment, I'd imagine. But not only getting there right and getting those minutes, but being a champion, named a champion at the UNC, man.
I've been very blessed, man.
Yeah.
It couldn't have happened any better for me in most of my career. It happened perfect. And that being my last college game to be able to win.
Right. Wow.
That was my senior year. So each year, obviously, it's tough losing. But, you learn lessons. You grow up, not just as a player, but as an adult.
Of course.
Life lessons. My freshman year, we lost in, I want to say, 32. I think we lost to the George Mason year. That's when George Mason had their little run.
Yeah.
And then the next year, we had lost, my sophomore year, we had lost to Georgetown before going in the Elite Eight, before going to the Final Four. My junior year, we lost in the Final Four to Kansas. They ended up winning it. Mm-hmm. And then my senior year, we finally got it done, and we played well. We had everybody there, so I said it couldn't have happened in a better way, and then be able to, enter the draft with, and leaving college with a win. Yeah. And that'd be my last memory of college.
Yeah, I mean, what a memory that was. You still in touch with some of the guys from the team, and you keep in touch
strangely enough, we're all older now, growing in families, but some of them are coaching, some of them are still watching, and
I don't know why I feel like Hansborough or some just can send like an angry voice note to you or something.
He's actually a pickleball guy. He's not angry.
Pickleball guy.
He was a very quiet person in college.
Wow.
He was very antisocial, introvert. Was serious about his work, his work ethic, and playing basketball. But now, as he gotten older, he's kind of branched out more. He actually did a podcast. He did a podcast at one point with Gerald Henderson. Now he talks sports and does different things with different networks. And I don't know if he does the betting side or not, but he's more on the media, which is interesting to me because I never thought I'd see him doing media because he didn't talk much at all. But he's a pickleball guy now. He's very much into pickleball.
Someone tells me I don't want to see him out on the pickleball court.
He's very competitive still.
Yeah.
But he does the pickleball now, and he does some media stuff. But him, Bobby Frazier, Marcus Ginyard. We have a Carolina group text, a WhatsApp with everybody in it. We do keep in contact with each other, not as much as we should, but there's other different groups that people keep in contact. Different cliques, and I have a certain group I used to live with. I keep in contact with some other guys that I keep in contact with different times. Yeah. But we do keep up with each other, especially from my time. I did all 4 years, my class period, and the guys that were with me. We follow up and make sure everybody's good. But we're all older now, so the guys are, most of us married and kids and getting old, and most of us are retired. But a couple of us are still kicking it and still doing it.
I love that, man. You guys have it's a bond. You guys, it's you form. It's I don't like when I hear guys that went to war like that to battle and you guys
falling out.
Yeah, so I love to hear that you still you make an effort at least, and you guys do the best you can. So shout out UNC and all the boys, sure. Man. So we'll jump now. Obviously, draft day goes down. What a class that was. You get to the league. Didn't necessarily go rookie year. Didn't necessarily go as planned. So with this podcast, we don't like just to talk about the highs, right? But we want to talk about the lows and the in-betweens and those moments that didn't break us.
For sure.
So you get waived, right? After 20-something games?
I did the first year there.
With the Cavs?
I did my first year there, my rookie year, and then the following year, my second year, I did a training camp with them, and they had changes. This is after the decision.
Right.
LeBron left.
Yep.
They brought in Byron Scott, which was a tough training camp. And they were making a lot of different changes. So I did that, and they had waived me. I think it was right after preseason games or something like that.
Early, right? Early.
So it was like in October, and that's when I was waived.
And did you know that was still just the beginning for you, or was there a moment there that you thought you were ready to give up? Was it? What was your mentality like? What was the mental game like for you?
It was, especially as a young kid, you worry, you're concerned, you're stressed. Right now, I'm in a different position now, but it's similar to the beginning of my career where there's not many phones ringing and things of that nature. Right. You're trying to find another home, not being the sought after free agent. So that's what it was like. You're getting waived. Nobody was really calling, figuring it out. You had to find a place to, get your name out there, work out, and let people know that you're ready to go. For me, it was like, at that point, do I belong or not?
Right.
Right now, it's different. It's like I know I can play at this level. I can play in this league. It was like, I believe I can, but I'm not sure. And I don't know if I'll get the opportunity to. I don't think people know or believe that I can. And I may have to play overseas. I may not, I have to find a different route. I might have to find a different lifestyle or a different job. So there was a lot of what ifs, a lot of unknown and being in limbo and trying to figure it out. And a lot of doubts.
Right, of course.
But I had my family and friends behind me. They all, believed in me and pushed me to chase after what I believed or where I believed I belonged. So yeah, I was at home for a little while working out. I had a couple workouts with different teams. I actually signed with the Spurs during that time, but it was only for like a week. Then got cut again. And then, there's like lockouts coming, so you might as well just sign overseas or, anyway, and just get prepared for this lockout. I almost did. I signed with a team, but then I was like, you know what? Somebody else came into the picture like, Danny doesn't belong overseas. Yeah. He belongs here. These are the guys he's playing with. He's on this level. He's an NBA player. So he should go that route and, give it his all. Yep. And, I'm glad I took that advice. Yeah. I went to the D League for a little bit. I somehow got out of the situation that I was in, got out of the contract and went to the D League, which is now the G League. Yep. But back then it was the D League. And I played there for 2 months and then finally played well enough to get called up and be with the Spurs at the end of the season. Yeah. And it's funny how that worked out because they had just kind of cut you right, had just cut me before. Now they give me a second opportunity. Yeah. And that's just because that work ethic, right? Being persistent and being ready. I had to call. My agent said it would be a good idea to call Pop. So I called and left a voicemail. Wow. And so you called Pop and left the voicemail yourself? Yeah. Wow. Okay. And he was like, you might want to give him a call and let him know that you're ready to go and you'll do anything. Because the thing with me, I think their perspective of me was I was too cool and too no sense of urgency. Yeah. And to show him this time around that I'm serious, I'm ready to be a professional, and whatever it takes. I think letting him know, giving him a call and let him know, give me another opportunity, I think helped a little bit for sure. Wow, love that. Mm-hmm. And your time in San Antonio was obviously it molded me, man, to be a professional. It's a lot of things has happened. Carolina, Tim Cluse started with Tim Cluse, him the way he's built, and then obviously Coach Williams, but Pop, those guys have made the rest of my career what it is because of how they kind of help shape you certain habits in me. Yeah. So it allowed me to go to other places and still be successful. Yeah. Because of how I learned from them. Yeah. So what were some of your takeaways? I mean, you obviously had a great run with San Antonio and a historic run, really, playing with guys like Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and obviously we talked about Pop a little bit. How much did you grow not only as a player but a person in that system and around those guys? A ton, because my first year being with Cleveland and Bron and Shaq, it was a different type of perspective on the NBA and what I thought it should be, or how people in the NBA should act. And it's not real life. Being around Timmy, Manu, and Tony and Pop, you're an NBA player, but realistically, you got to know the ball's going to stop bouncing at some point, and you're going to be a regular human. Mm-hmm. You got to know how to operate as a regular human. So they very much kept everybody humbled. There was no egos there, and they gave you that perspective of the NBA is every day it is Christmas, but you're not a superhero. You're not better than everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of live your life as a normal person and get used to living your life that way. Yeah. And
he ran a tight ship, right?
For sure. But it kept things in perspective. It kept you grounded. It kept you saving money. It kept you cheap. It kept you.
You guys have a curfew? Did I read that?
We didn't have a curfew, no. But it kept us very professional, and it just kept me very, I could see Tim Duncan living a certain way, and it's all right, I don't have to keep up with the Joneses or live that way, and it's like, this is how you're supposed to do it if you want your money to last forever, and this makes sense. Yeah. But if you're following other guys, especially these other guys are superstars that make $300, $400 million, you're never gonna I may never make that, so I might be able to keep up with that. Mind you, nobody can really keep up with that, and even then, you should probably be smart about your money. So
of course,
following that regimen that those guys had
was a blessing, really,
for sure, a blessing in disguise of just teaching me and allowing me to prepare for moments like this when I'm done playing, or when I'm not with a team, or I don't have a job, right? And when I have a family, and not being such a big drastic adjustment, because a lot of guys when they retire or done playing, it's a drastic adjustment from living a certain way to now, and people treating you
scrambling, don't know what to do.
And it's like, oh man, I'm not getting the same love or attention or I'm not traveling as much, or I'm not getting the freedoms, or I'm not getting the same perks I used to get.
Yeah.
And now I have to travel commercial. Like it's just
a
lot of little things, and some of them are big things that they don't realize until they're done playing, and it's a culture shock.
Yeah.
And they go crazy.
Is there one player that stands out to you when we talk about these kind of things? Was it a Tim Duncan, right? Was it a LeBron early on? I know you said your time in Cleveland was a little different, but some of these guys, was there someone that stood out that really helped lead you the way as a kind of newbie and young player in the system?
I've said there's multiple guys within systems and organizations, but off the court, just said watching how some of those guys operated, it put things into a different perspective of life, life outside of basketball. And is mainly the guys that were really cheap, like the Matt Bonner. No disrespect to Matt, but he takes pride in being frugal. A lot of those guys took pride in being frugal. Not just Matt, but Tim did, Manu did, and just how.
Was that a San Antonio thing, you think, or was it just
maybe? But it's not just San Antonio, because even when I've been to other teams, there's certain guys that are like that. Even Kawhi is not a guy that's gonna spend a bunch of. He's pretty frugal. He'll spend on what he wants to get, but he's not gonna spend on things that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not gonna spend on a bunch of BS clothes and jewelry and things like that. And that's in other places. I've been in Toronto and even in Philly. There's certain guys that are like that. And, I think just when you're around certain superstars, you have this
tendency to.
You think like, oh, that's how we're supposed to look as an NBA player. Well, back in the day, it was a little different too, but it's like, that's for certain guys can do that. Not everybody can do that.
Right. Man, that's funny. But that's awesome though. I love that that you shared that. You brought up Toronto, obviously. We can talk about San Antonio forever because I mean, that was just an incredible run you had with that team. But you did your thing in Toronto too.
I had a great year. I had a couple great years.
I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. How did you change as a player? Kawhi, right? You played with him in San Antonio, and then you went over to the Raptors with him. Did that help? Did that help kind of get things going?
For
having
sure.
him
it helped a ton when you're getting traded, because it's my first time being traded.
Right.
If you're traded alone, when you go with somebody that you're familiar with, it makes the trade a lot easier.
Yeah.
I've been traded a couple times now, but each time I've been able to be with somebody familiar from a previous group, which made the new team easier to get acclimated with. But being with San Antonio and going with him, it allowed us. Now we're vets at this point, even though we were the younger guys, the younger kids in San Antonio, because compared to Tony, Manu, and Timmy, everybody is younger.
Right.
But now being in Toronto, we're the vets now. We're a little older, not older, but just
of course,
seasoned veterans at this point. We had a different role, and learning from them allowed us to, take on that role pretty easily. And having Kawhi with me made it easier to get acclimated, and also, be comfortable in being a leader and having that voice of being a veteran into those young guys. So we had a great year in Toronto. It was a lot of fun.
It looked like you guys had a lot of fun that year.
Throughout
the entire
season.
Yeah. Shout out Drake, man. We got Drake showed a lot of love.
Masai and Bobby. Nick Nurse was there. We had a great staff. We had a great front office. It was an amazing year. The city was great. We did something historic and special, and I was glad I was there for it.
Yep.
With Kawhi, me and him, we had a great ride, and then parted ways, and we both ended up in LA after that. I had another great year myself, COVID happened. But it was another great year with the Lakers. But Toronto was special, man. I had built some really good friendships and bonds, and family there. I think anytime you go to a city and you win, that's forever going to be a home for you, and they're going to make it home. They're going to show you love, and you're going to always be forever bonded with that group of guys that you won with.
I love that. Yeah. You mentioned COVID year. I mean, man, we can talk about that too, and that bubble and everything, but we don't even need to go there. I don't know if that might have some PTSD on you or something.
It was tough, man. But it said, luckily for us, it ended the way we needed it to end, for us to feel like it was worth it.
Yeah.
Because if you go into a bubble and not win, and you stay there for 100 days, that's tough. I never thought of it from the perspective of the Miami perspective, but being there for that long and coming home, not be able to come home with something that said, we did this. that's could be traumatic.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You linked back up with LeBron in LA.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like entering the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having LeBron as a teammate, and then fast forwarding to, already having multiple championships, being a seasoned vet at that point, really, right? Or a seasoned player, I should say. And then kind of seeing LeBron on the back end after going through San Antonio, learning from those guys, after learning from Pop, right? Growing tremendously. What was it like meeting LeBron again on the back end and be able to do something so special?
One thing about him, not much change. Not much change. He's always going to be a big goofball and a clown.
Yeah,
he still was. But he's more serious, knew how to win, but he still was the big kid that he was when he was in Cleveland. And he always has his teammates in high regard and respect factor. I think he always respected me. Mm-hmm. So I can't say, he respected me a lot more. But I think the fact that we both had gone different ways and played against each other, competed for titles different times, there was a newfound respect factor. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm older. I'm not as rook anymore. I was as rook at the time. So I think it was a different type of respect, I guess, in that form. But he was still the same guy. He had a lot of fun in Cleveland with him, and I had a lot of fun with him in LA. Yeah. He loved to have a good time and joke around, even though he was older and considered old. He's been considered old for the last 8 years. He's been still at the top of the league. Year 21, he still played at an unbelievable level. Crazy. I don't know how he does it. It was a lot of fun, and it was good to circle back and be with him. Not just with him, but a lot of other guys that I had admired, looked up to, and competed against that I would love to play with, but never got a chance to play with them at their prime, like a Dwight Howard, a Rajon Rondo. Yeah, guys are like that fun.
I sat down with Austin Reeves, he's doing some big things with the Lakers, but it's funny. He said the same thing to me. He's like, "Nah, LeBron," because we were talking about the team, and he's like, "Man, LeBron, such a goofball, but nobody comes close to Dwight."
Dwight is a big kid, but so we had a team full of characters.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys said were greats that I've watched since college, and I wanted to play with them at some point in their prime. But even though I still got a chance to play with them, Rajon Rondo, Dwight, we had JaVale, we had AD. It's not saying that AD was past his prime, but like Rondo and Dwight, those guys have been killing it since I was in college.
Of course, man.
And luckily I got a chance to win with them, even past their prime. But those are guys that I'm like, man, we all were veterans. We all respected each other. We all had the same goal in mind. Nobody cared about anything else but winning. It's like, all right, we're here for a reason, and one reason only. And those guys, everybody did their part. Every piece matters when it comes to putting together the right puzzle. And we had an unbelievable group. We had KCP, Alex Caruso, Avery Bradley. DeMarcus Cousins was there earlier with us. Troy Daniels. Later on, we ended up getting J.R. Smith and Deion Waiters. We had an unbelievable crew, man. It was a lot of fun playing and winning with those guys. Do
you think that COVID year kind of took away a little bit from that championship?
For some people.
Yeah.
For some people. Not for us. Not for me. Because we knew how much we had to go through to get it.
Of course, yeah. Mentally, right?
Everything all around. All around. It was just tough. Mentally, physically, emotionally, you name it.
Yeah. So what you got a lot of hardware. Is there one that sticks out the most? What was the best moment as a champion? Is one sweeter than the rest?
That's hard to say. I said, I always use this analogy. We have, I don't know how many kids you have, but we just recently had little ones.
Just one.
If you have multiple, you can't say which one's your favorite kid.
That's true.
That's
a good answer.
Different experiences. Yeah. You love them very much so. You may love them a little differently because they have different personalities, but you still ultimately love them with all your heart the same. Mm-hmm. And you may have gone through different things to get each one of those, but it's hard to say I picked this one I like is my favorite.
All right.
Deion Sanders has a list of favorites of his kids. He ranks his kids, but I don't rank my kids or my championships. I will say the bubble was the hardest. Mm-hmm. I will say I probably had the most fun in Toronto. And San Antonio might have been the sweetest because we just lost to Miami the year before, and it was my first one. Your firstborn, you never. Your firstborn is a little different, so your first championship is a little different, but you love them all the same.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so let's talk a little bit. A couple questions I'm excited to ask you. Okay. Aside from your 3-point shooting, you were also known as an incredible defender. Who was the toughest matchup for you defensively?
Yeah, everybody asks that, and every year I feel like it's different.
Yeah.
Because each year, I mean, the All-Stars are given, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're All-Stars for a reason. They're great at what they do, and it's hard to stop them from doing what they do.
Right.
You try to limit them as best they can. They're still going to ultimately get done what they do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But, each year guys play different in different systems. Different guys are in different primes or parts of their lives. I never got a chance to guard, Carmelo in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
But I did guard Carmelo at times, and he was very tough cover. I got a chance to guard LeBron. He's a very tough cover. But different years, it was different for me. It's hard to guard a JJ Redick or a Kyle Korver just chasing them off 3 and 4 screens. Klay Thompson and Steph, when they're running off of 7-footers at 300 pounds setting these screens.
Right.
Those will give you tough nights. And then there was nights where you have to guard Kyrie Irving or Jamal Crawford, who's going to handle the ball a lot and give you a plethora of moves coming off a pick and roll. So it was different each year, and sometimes it'll be a random guy. It might be like Evan Fournier. Like you just have to chase him. It's different with different years. It's ultimately at the end of the day, the hardest guy I think overall. When everybody says who's the toughest guy to guard, for me, consistently year in and year out, I think it's Kevin Durant. He's 7 feet. He moves like a guard, can handle it, knows how to draw fouls, use his body, and you can't block a shot. You just got to hope he misses.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a tough guy to guard. I'll say that.
Yeah, for good reason.
It's funny you say like the movers though. I remember like even growing up, like throughout the years, I should say, Rip Hamilton always comes up for some of the older guys because he was kind of
to guard him in his prime.
Yeah, but he was one of those guys,
older,
right? Yeah,
but he was one of those guys that's tough to he's gonna kill you, especially with the mid range.
Yeah,
it's just like DeMar. DeMar, he may not shoot a lot of threes, but he's tough to guard. He's gonna get a bunch of mid range. He's gonna kill you with the mid range, post ups, fadeaways, pump fakes, draw fouls, get into your body. Even Kobe, I didn't get a chance to guard. I guarded Kobe, but not in his prime. Kobe was tough to guard too, without fouling. He knew how to. He had great footwork. He knew how to use his body. He knew how to get you off the ground or get you in bad positions where you had to foul him or where you couldn't contest a shot.
Of course, yeah. All-time starting 5 for you
that I played with.
Just generally speaking,
ooh,
who's your top 5 guys, current, past?
I'm going to go with Magic at the 1.
So we got Magic at the 1.
I'm going to go with Mike at the 2.
Okay.
This is going to be a tough one, man. Bron at the 3. Timmy at the 4. Shaq at the 5.
I like it. I'll give you one more coming off the bench.
I can give you another starting 10, but I think off the bench, Kobe.
Okay.
Kobe for sure, because I was going to throw him in there.
What's your take on Steph right now amongst that conversation? Because people now I see
he's also off the bench right behind Magic. Like off the bench right behind point guard spot is Steph.
Okay.
Off the bench behind Mike would be Kobe. And then KD.
Yeah.
Off the bench at the 3 spot. Like there's a solid 10 you could put together. Like you could put together a good 20 guys that you could say could be in your starting 5.
Yeah. No, I like it. That's I knew you'd put Timmy in there. I was hoping he was
power forward of all time. If I play with KG, it might be a different conversation. And his passion was something else. But Timmy's got 5 rings.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
He's done even if I did play with KG, it's hard to deny what Timmy has done in this league.
Nah.
And by far the best teammate that anyone has ever had. It's not even close. Bron is closest and at 2.
In regards to just having as a teammate.
Wow. A superstar that's like a humble superstar that's a good teammate. Like Timmy's hands down, head and shoulders above everybody else when it comes to that.
I love that. Yeah. And I feel like that's almost like you hear that often amongst people that have played with him.
Anybody that played with Timmy, they say the same thing. Consensus.
Yeah. All right, let's step away from hoop talk for a second. All right, we started talking a little bit off camera about some of our latest accomplishments
as people,
right? Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So you tied the knot recently. Well. Thank you very much. Well. So we welcomed a couple of little ones in August, huh?
Of 2023,
2023, yep. What's his birthday?
23. August
Okay.
23rd, 20,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
23. Yeah.
Okay, so my daughter was born on the 1st, so
Okay, right. Yeah, okay.
yeah, so aside from our defensive skills and our spot up,
23 days apart.
yeah, we also
When
have
did you also? You said you got married 2 years ago.
a couple of years ago now,
What?
and we were supposed to get married in 2020, but we pushed it because of the pandemic.
COVID. Well,
Yep.
when did you get married? In
July
what?
9th.
We were August 14th. So shit.
So we're
Right
we're,
there, about a
and
month apart in babies,
so-
a month apart in getting married. So we're 2 years apart.
month apart in babies.
I'm
Okay,
following your lead.
yeah,
Man.
Long Island. We're basically the same person.
Yeah.
That's what we've landed on. How's life changed for you, being a father? I mean, I know for me, just
yes.
I'm so much more grounded, right? It's so many anxieties and kind of things have just gone out the window. My world's gotten smaller. I keep saying, like, for the better, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the best thing ever. I mean, can you talk about your experience a little bit?
It's hard to describe in words,
Yeah.
but when people tell you your life changes in an instant, it's unreal.
Yeah.
And every day it's a new journey. It's a lot of fun, but your life changes tremendously. And I couldn't imagine trying to do this while playing. Guys that do it when they're younger and playing. Obviously, you have to get a lot of help. It takes a village.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that, it's even more stressful. But it's a lot of work, but it's amazing. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Watching a little one that you made grow.
It's crazy.
And learn how to use their hands, learn how to make sounds, just learn how to develop into a human.
Yeah.
They have to learn how to poop.
Everything.
They have to learn how to do a lot of things. They're
Yeah.
playing with their hands, playing with their feet, seeing them grow hands, the facial expressions, seeing who they look like, who they take after.
Yeah.
It's, I said, you can't really put it in words. People have to go through it for them to really understand.
I know you grow up, two people are like, you wait till you have your own, wait to have your own, but like instantly, it's nothing.
It changes everything. Just
Yeah.
your perspective on life, your parents, your grandparents, how they raise you. You have all these questions and curiosities. It changes everything, and you'll never know, and you won't be able to tell somebody.
Yeah.
You have to let them go through it and wait. Listen, I'm having fun. I'll tell you how having a kid is, but you won't know for you until you do it. And you'll be like, all right, I see what everybody's talking about.
And listen, it's not easy either, though.
No,
it's not. It's
a
hard.
lot of work.
But still, even in those moments where I feel stressed or agitated, whether it be getting up, for the 100th time in the middle of the night, right, or as soon as you
it's so worth it.
It's like it's like you're just like,
It's
I got
worth
you.
it.
I got you.
It's worth
it. Has that made you? Because I know for me, just want to go harder with everything, right? Like there's a newfound almost
100%.
Inspiration,
You're not living
right?
for you anymore.
That's it.
You're doing everything for your little one, and you got to make sure that little one is protected and has the best of everything. The things that, even though we didn't grow up bad, but you want to make sure they have the best of everything and have all the resources and grow up better than you.
Of course.
But also make sure nothing happens to them.
Yeah. I'm looking. I mean, like I'm walking down the street now, like ready for just anything now. I'm like the guy yelling at cars, like slow down if I'm out with the stroller or something. I never thought I'd be that guy.
Thinking about your younger days when you used to just weave through traffic.
Right,
you're like,
right.
I was an idiot driving like that. And you're like, that drive home from the hospital was probably the safest drive you ever had in your life.
Oh,
you're driving
10
under
and
the
2.
speed limit.
Yeah.
Looking at
hazards
all mirrors, not hitting no bumps, making sure.
Yeah.
So you become, it ages you very quickly, and you
yeah.
become very safe and paranoid, and all those words you can think of to where it makes you protective over your newfound little one.
Yeah. I love that. So congrats, man.
Same to you.
I guess I'm just a few weeks ahead of you, so I'll send you any notes or anything I can help you with. Just if I'm that 1 or 2 steps ahead.
Almost at the 5-month mark.
Yeah. I'm right. Just a couple of steps ahead, but I appreciate you, man, taking some time and hanging out today. I feel like it's been a long time coming for you and me. We've crossed paths a few times over the years, but I was really excited to have you on, man. And
you.
I'm excited for what's next. I know
for both of us.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Hopefully this is not the end of it. Hopefully we can circle back, and then hopefully there's still more to tell.
Yeah. We're writing the story, man. We're in the middle of it, and that's kind of what this platform's all about now. Is just diving a little bit deeper into the stories, and you've had an incredible one so far, and you're still writing it, and like I said, I'm so excited for what's to come, professionally and personally. So we might have to circle back and touch base.
For sure,
we might have a couple more little ones running around.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing that. I need at least 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know. I'm like and as a girl dad now, I'm like, I could have 5 girls now. I'm like, that's it.
That's tough. I don't know if I could do that.
Know? I was a team boy. But
I'm all team boy, but I'm not opposed to having one girl.
Yeah,
but
and it's the first girl in my family. Like I got 3 brothers,
okay.
All uncles, right? It's just heavy guys. Like we're just deep, right? We're all wrapped around her finger, man. Just the biggest blessing.
That's the dangerous part of it. That's why I'm fighting. Maybe I'll have the girl last. I don't want to be too soft too soon.
Yeah, well, he's a little stud. I'm sure. So we got
still soft with him. But I could be like I can see me, being a little more disciplined with girls. It's gonna be hard for me to discipline her. Tell her what to do, man. So I'll wait till I get older.
Well, I said, I'll have plenty of notes for you, man. So
I appreciate it.
Appreciate your time, brother.
For sure,
and
man.
Like we always say, here's to life.